Good morning, Greg here. Burn at both ends. Burn it on the front end of Saturday. It is July 14, 2018, 6:38 a.m. Pacific. We are wrapping up week 6 of I-Core. This is this DOE-funded tech transfer program. So tech transfer is all about taking a technology and bringing it into the commercial space and navigating across that valley of death, as they call it. This is that, right? Technology is not a product, right? And moving it from technology, which would be in the form of a patent or a copyrighted set of drawings or something very, very immature, I'd say, as far as how far it is from a profitable, sellable product that the market would accept and pay money for. And not just pay money for, but pay enough money for such that a profitable company can continue to deliver it to the market. And so it's this whole process, which is a very complicated, long, lot of details, a lot of things to this is essentially what building a business is all about. It's fascinating, and so the DOE is training us right now on how to as I say, get out of the building. This is the lean startup model. This is Steve Blank's model. Customer discovery interviews, developing the ecosystem, partnerships. This is the business model canvas, value props, customer segments, all that stuff, and the goal is 75 customer discovery interviews in 8 weeks, and the first and last week are trainings, and then this kind of 6 weeks in the middle is really like the time on the ground where you're really hitting it. So we are wrapping up week 6, so week 7 is next week. I fly to Denver a week from Monday for the graduation week. Really excited and what I'm really proud of is that we are finishing strong. We are continuing to climb this ladder, and I can feel it. The way these interviews are going, I can feel the progress that we're making. And one of the indications, actually there are two big indications that I'm seeing right now. One is we're starting to hear the same information over and over again from different people. And the key about these interviews is that these are very unbiased interviews. We are being trained not to lead them down a path, so you don't say so this market is A, B, and C, right? No, it's like, so we're here, we're learning about the space, we'd love to, get your expertise and so just tell us about blah, 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 right? Tell us about, the process, so we're talking to a big company, and what we want to do is we want to sell a component to one of the machines that they make. And so a question, like an open-ended question, would be like, hey, tell us about the process, about how we would, work with you to get this into your machine, right? And then that kind of opens up, and then they can take like a technical route, they can take a business route, they can take a funding route, and then it's open to them to kind of walk down the path. And then as they start walking down the path, our job is just to kind of keep them in a relevant space to what we're looking to understand. That's it. It's very simple, and to avoid getting into the technical details about what we're doing. And so one of the indications is that we're starting to hear the same thing over again. We're starting to hear the same kind of, what's our customer's pull, right? So for example, if my customer sells a machine, right, a manufacturing machine, it's their customer, right, that is the one that's actually manufacturing, that's actually making a product and selling it, like into the consumer market, right? And so it's my customer's customer that's going to be pulling this machine. Hey, this machine has to have A, B, and C on it. It needs to have this capability. And then it's my customer's customer, who's like the end consumer, pretty much. And it's that person that's actually paying for the product, that's actually using the product. And so really understanding that kind of full path downstream. And this was the advice that this gentleman Jim gave me, right? This was this interview from 2 weeks ago at a coffee shop where he spoke to me for about 90 minutes, and the wisdom was incredible. And so yeah, one indication is we're starting to hear the same things over and over again, which really kind of validates the thinking, and kind of ensures us that, okay, this is the right path, because on the front end of this program, we just have some guesses as to where we think this can go. And the whole point of these interviews is to say, okay, your guess was right, or it was not right, or it was mostly right, but then here, this is the real slice of the segment that you want. And, and then it's a matter of going, as Gary Vee would say, narrow and deep, which is just, and once you kind of get that kind of view into that narrow and deep spot, I don't want to say it's easy to dive in and go, and go down, but at least there's a lot of intention behind it now. So now we know what thin slice we need to look at, and so it just becomes easier to search and find. LinkedIn is becoming a huge resource for this, and then just also these folks that we're talking to. These people are so intelligent; it's incredible, and they're so willing to help. And then the second component that I'm starting to really see this working is we're starting to meet the same people from different directions, right? This is where we're working is a small community. It's a very small community. It's almost, and we're starting to get pointed to the same people from different directions. And it's funny because we'll enter a company and we'll talk to someone, and then they'll give us to someone else, and then all of a sudden we'll hop to somebody and actually. So, and based on whether it's more of a business side discussion or a tech side discussion, obviously you're going to lead to two different people. And typically there's one person in each company that's the person to talk to. It's oh, you want to talk to so-and-so. And so we've met that person in a bunch of these companies on the business and technical side. And so, for example, next Friday, we're talking to one of the main technical people of one of the big companies that we'd like to partner with. And we just learned from someone else that they really don't have a lot of market share in this specific slice. And so their ears are perked up a little bit more than the other two competitors. It's interesting. The other two competitors, one of the other competitors has the big slice, and so they might not be as attentive or as interested. But it depends, and these are the things that you learn is who's really hungry, who's willing to take a bigger risk, because that's what it is when a company wants to adopt a technology like this, is they're hungry and they want to take a bigger risk because that's what it's going to take. Especially in outside technology. Of course, they have their own, internal R&D, groups, and they're pushing their own things. But who's going to want to take a chance on us? And so we're starting to learn about that. And then you want to learn about, okay, what's the price point that they're willing to pay? What's the performance and what's the price point? These are key pieces of market data. And then the third would be the timing, right? I had that talk, relationships and timing. A lot of this is timing, right? We're learning about the market cycle, where we are in the cycle. These machines last for a long time. Obviously, the customers, our customers that buy these machines, they're very expensive machines, and so they last for a decade or longer. They want to get their return on their investment, so they're not just going to, it's not like the way we buy cars nowadays, where you just lease something for, you can have a car for 2 or 3 years and then buy a new car. And it's not a real big deal, right? The switchover is not a big deal. However, with these machines, the switchover is a big deal. And so they're going to want to have a really good reason to switch over, our customer's customer. And then our customer is going to want to have a really good reason to put our component in their machine, right? So learning all these things and what are the tipping points of these decisions? Who makes these decisions, or what group? What's the process for this decision making? So this is what we're running down, and what's really cool is we are really learning a lot of this information, and it's really powerful, I find, to be able to reference other interviews when I meet someone new. So I met a very strong technical person from one of these big companies yesterday, and I was able to say, hey, I spoke to your VP of sales on Tuesday, and he actually was cool. He knew about that meeting. He wanted to sit in on it, but the VP of sales was like, well, let me feel it out first. And then what was also cool is then this technical person didn't want to agree to a meeting with me and my team until he reviewed the result of the Tuesday meeting with the VP of sales. So it's what this is doing, it's forcing all this kind of communication and discussion, which is really cool, which is just, and what I'm so impressed with this iCore program is we are just, we literally started this process 6 weeks ago. and we have gotten so far down the road in 6 weeks. I mean, that's like nothing when you think about, how long it can take to learn some of this stuff. I mean, it's phenomenal. But really enjoying it, and so just thrilled with the I-Corps program. It's really pushing me. It's really setting me up for my next move, which in August I have 2 really big things hitting in August that I'm psyched about. One at work, one on my side hustle, in my side hustle, whatever. Right. So really a great transition in August. I'm going to be project managing some big projects at work. This is a real opportunity for me. And that HBD project in my success journal there, that's like that's my taste of what it's going to be like. That's a smaller project that I'm managing, working with the team, seeing how the team is, seeing how to kind of harness the team. And what I'll talk about is yesterday, right? So I drove down to Santa Clara for one of these meetings, and it's even I left at like 11:45 a.m. It's still like an hour and a half with traffic. I mean, with no traffic, it'd be like 40 minutes. So anyway, listening to some Gary Vee podcast, love the podcast, and I listened to this talk with Frank Blake, former CEO of Home Depot. Phenomenal. I linked it down below. I would just totally recommend checking this out. Frank, and just the energy between Frank and Gary was great. Just the wisdom. And one of my favorite quotes from this was something like, herding cats. I'm sure that you've heard herding cats or juggling cats is difficult. Well, but herding cats can be difficult. And then Frank's, one of the things that he said is, but you can always move their food, which is an interesting, interesting, And, just talking about, motivation. How do we motivate folks? How do we motivate teams? What are the incentives? And I forget a lot of the other nuggets of wisdom. I have to listen to that again and again and again. But I would definitely check it out. And it was really interesting to hear what Frank had to say about running this enormous company. It was just phenomenal. So hold on a second. Oh, thought that was one of my girls, but they should be getting up soon. So I'm going to wrap there. So yeah, definitely check out that podcast from Gary Vee. I'm so impressed with that. That's 40 minutes of just gold right there. And so it's going to be a great family weekend. My wife's away on a personal trip, and so it's just me and the girls, and so we're just gonna have a great time. Really enjoy these weekends where it's just family time. That's why it's so awesome getting up in the morning, banging out a little bit of work before everyone gets up, hitting my post, and then now I can just really get into family stuff. And that's what this Burn at Both Ends is really enabling me to do. It's enabling me to really take care of myself and take care of my family, and so I can focus. I make time to focus on each, which I think is so important, right? I don't want to be that kind of dad that's sitting there constantly texting while I'm at the park with my kids. I want to be there with my kids. And then also at the same time, when I'm here in the office and I'm focusing on office stuff, I want to be focusing on my work here. So that way, it's like these different worlds that I live in. And I just think that, kind of retain, having that space to do these things is so important, because it reduces stress. Because I find that, before I had this Burn at Both Ends schedule and this channel, there was a lot of stress from just, when I was in one space, I was always thinking about the other space, and there was a struggle there. Now the struggle is greatly reduced. I'm not saying it's not there entirely. It's just greatly reduced. So I can really focus on either when I'm in those spaces. So it's really cool. So check out the description. There are some great links down there. I've linked that Gary Vee podcast. There's some motivational websites. There's some great music down there from SoundCloud. Big fan of SoundCloud. G Money is my alter ego, so I write these beats. The beat in the background is inspired by Fela Kuti and Tony Allen. It's an Afro beat. And check it out on SoundCloud if you like that kind of thing. Yeah, there's a whole album there, as a matter of fact. And so this channel is all about my journey as an aspiring entrepreneur. excuse me, this is the stuff I'm doing. You know, that's bringing me success, the things I'm working on, the challenges. The success journal continues to crush it, I have to say. It's linked down below. My posts on it are down below. The templates down below, linked. It's just really helped me out. Really helped me see what's going on, and just track those micro tasks, track those like macro tasks, those, you know, what I call success steps, all that stuff. The vision, which are the focus items. So anyway, get to it, rock and roll with your weekend, get ahead, do some great things today, inspire folks, light it up, and yeah, I will see you this evening.